There's a moment in every man's life when it finally hits you. No one is coming to save you. Not now, not ever. Not your friends, not your family, not some miracle opportunity that'll fall right out of the sky. Just you. And it's one of the hardest truths to swallow because deep down we all want to believe that help is coming, that somewhere out there someone has the answers, and that one day everything will finally click into place. I used to believe that too. When I was younger, I thought life had this hidden turning point. Like one day I'd wake up, land the right job, meet the right person, stumble into the right moment, and suddenly everything would just make sense. Like someone would hand me that missing piece of the puzzle, but, no one ever did. No one ever came. And I think a lot of us grow up with that illusion that life's this, big community effort, like everyone's got your back, but adulthood slowly, quietly tears that illusion apart. You realize the world isn't watching. No one's checking in. And if you felt that quiet, lonely realization that it's just you now, you know exactly what I mean. For me, the day I realized it was brutal, but weirdly enough, it was also the most freeing day of my life. I want you to picture this, fresh out of master's degree, feeling absolutely unstoppable, like I finally had momentum, like life was finally starting to make sense. 2 months later, I got a job at a research lab. I told myself, this is it. And this is where everything finally clicks. But it didn't. It, very quickly fell apart. The field was new, the work was demanding, and the one person who was supposed to train me left for the US a week after I arrived. Suddenly I was alone, lost in a maze I didn't understand. Every day I showed up pretending I had it together, but I didn't. I was constantly asking for help, constantly behind, constantly disappointing someone. I felt like a burden. And the thing about that pressure is that it doesn't explode, it eats at you, day by day, slowly, until one morning you wake up and realize you're the weak link. Then the world collapsed. COVID hit. My grant got cut off on a technicality, and just like that, I was done. Out. No job, no support, no backup plan. I remember packing up my things in silence, looking at my now empty desk, realizing no one cared. Not my boss, not my colleagues, not the university. No one was coming to fix it. And that moment, that silence, it was deafening. Because when the noise fades and it's just you and your failure, you finally hear the truth. No one's coming to save you. I went back home, defeated, ashamed, angry, but I didn't know it yet. That was the moment my life started to change, because that was the day I stopped waiting for rescue and started building a man who didn't need saving. Generally when you hit rock bottom, the first thing you look for is, someone to blame, because it's easier that way. It's easier to point the finger than to stare at yourself in the mirror. For a long time, I lived there, in that comfort zone of blame. My boss should have helped me more. My family should have guided me better. The world's unfair. Life's cruel. I told myself every story I could to make the pain make sense, because when you blame someone else, you get to protect your ego. You get to stay the victim, and being the victim is comfortable, because it asks absolutely nothing of you. But the thing is, blaming doesn't fix anything. It doesn't lift you up, it just locks you where you are. And one day I caught myself doing it again, repeating the same excuses, the same poor me story. And I realized something that hit me like a punch in the gut. Every time I blamed someone else, I was giving them control over my life, and that's when everything flipped. Because the moment you stop saying it's their fault and start saying it's mine, you stop being powerless. Blaming myself wasn't me losing power, it was me finally taking it back. And so can you. After I left that life behind, I was, pretty destroyed. 2 months straight, I barely left my room. I'd wake up, stare at the same walls, the same mess, the same version of myself I didn't want to be. It was poetic in a dark way, because the room looked exactly how I felt inside. Piles of clothes and dirty dishes and unmade bed and just chaos. And that chaos was me. Then one day I just snapped. I remember sitting there, hands on my keyboard, leveling up another pointless character, and I just said, enough. I got up and started cleaning. No plan, no motivational speech, just action. And it sounds stupid, right? Cleaning your room, but that small act, that one tiny little win changed everything. Because in that moment, I wasn't a victim anymore. I wasn't waiting for anyone. I was proving to myself that I could change my environment, one piece at a time. Maybe that's all growth really is. Small wins stacked on top of each other. You pay off a debt, you go to the gym for the first time, you fix something that's been broken for too long. It doesn't matter how small it looks to someone else, because that's the moment you realize you're in charge of your life, of your choices, of what happens next. You can sit there surrounded by your own mess, or you can stand up and start cleaning it. Either way, it's on you. The crazy part about all this is that if I hadn't gone through that brutal experience, I probably would have kept living in that fantasy, believing that someone somewhere would eventually show up and fix things for me. And that mindset, it's poison. Because the truth is, maybe no one is supposed to save you. Maybe that's not a flaw in the system. Maybe that's the system itself. Because if someone else saves you, think about it. They also own your story. And I don't know about you, but I'd rather write mine, even if it means crawling through hell to do it. When you stop waiting to be rescued and you start rescuing yourself, something shifts. You stop asking, why me? And start saying, it's me. You stop living life on standby, waiting for permission, and start realizing you were the permission all along. And no, it doesn't suddenly get easier, but it gets real. And real is where the growth happens. Because the moment you take full responsibility for your life, guess what? It finally becomes yours. So, all this being said, no one is coming to save you. And maybe that's the point. Because the second you stop waiting for someone to fix your life, you start realizing you were the one meant to do it all along. I said earlier that I used to think one day something would just click, that someone out there had the answers. Turns out, it does click, but only when you finally understand that that someone was you. No one's coming. It's on you. And that's exactly why you're gonna make it. Hey guys, I just want to thank you guys so much for watching. Sorry I've been a bit absent lately. I've been dealing with, some stuff, but I'm back now. If you like what I do and would like to support me, feel free to check out the links below. If you support me, you also get to access my small little Discord community, which is kind of cool. I'm working on building that. And in my next video, I'm going to be talking about the truth behind being average. Stay tuned for that. Catch you guys later.